Hey guys, welcome back to Spector Creative, and well, let's talk about PowerCon 2023. Just happened last weekend, and as always, Roye from South Africa did a fantastic job of forwarding me a recap and lots of images, so definitely a huge thanks to him for the help with putting this video together. All right, PowerCon, it's kind of turned into much more of a toy convention, right, than a He-Man convention. Because, well, you're getting all sorts of toy makers now, like Beasts of the Mesozoic showing up, and the Four Horsemen showing off all of their latest offerings. In fact, the one toy company that wasn't at PowerCon that you kind of would think would be Mattel. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a good idea to show up to promote your own toy line. I mean, really.
Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
So, yeah, I mean, they've got animation to promote, they've got new toys to promote. In fact, they've got retail and online brands to promote. So, why they didn't show up, I couldn't tell you. But it kind of takes a special kind of, to not show up to a convention promoting your own brand. But hey, we'll leave that to them. So, what was at PowerCon? Well, with the absence of Mattel, everyone else who's working on Masters of the Universe in any way, and that includes brands that are kind of Masters of the Universe inspired, if you will, and there were quite a few companies doing that. You'd think the fact that there are so many of these brands thriving, it would be more evidence that the He-Man Masters of the Universe line could do better. And, obviously many different licensors are present. Mondo, for example, showed off some of their latest, and while they do amazing 12-inch figures, I just happen not to be a 12-inch collector, nor do I have space. But I will say, yeah, what they're doing is breathtakingly amazing. And it's cool that at least some toy companies with the He-Man license showed up to show off their brands at a He-Man convention. It kind of reminds me of Jurassic Park. You are going to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour. Yeah, they were even showing off non-Masters of the Universe product, so it looks like it really has converted from a He-Man convention to a toy convention. Not that I'm complaining, because I'm a toy guy. One of the honest reveals, though, was the Ramen showing off two 6-inch figure prototypes. Now, I could have my information wrong, but from my sources, I have heard that these are not licensed. These are just works of art. These are basically bids to try to get a license, if you will. And that's not that uncommon. But, gosh, to sculpt up action figures, put them out at a trade show for sort of diehard fans of a brand without a license, I'm kind of going back to my Willy Wonka meme there. I mean, it's one thing, if you're the main company producing a product to not show up, but it's another to show up and just show off product that you don't have a license for. I mean, it's kind of like the fan films that you see. It's like that gray area of legality. Yeah, sometimes people put them out as calling cards or as almost audition pieces to say, hey, look at the kind of film I can make. Or if you look at things like, non-licensed product like this example, this yarn Batman, this is part of the craft industry. It's handmade, it's not mass produced. I did a whole video on the craft industry, I'll link to it at the end. But an example of why you should never sculpt something without a contract, the Snake Mountain statue that was done a few years ago. Well, when it was originally sculpted, there were two peaks. And when it was shown to Mattel Design, they said, no, Snake Mountain should only have one peak, hence Snake Mountain. And we asked the vendor to resculpt it without the second peak. And they got really upset because but we already spent all the money on the tool and the sculpt. And we're like, well, it's not our fault that you did that without asking for approval. So, yeah, one thing to go out with a line that you don't have the license to. The other is also to spread a license too thin. Now, when I was brand managing Masters of the Universe at Mattel for the Classics line, I was actually very much about driving everyone to one toy line. I didn't want to split up the audience. Essentially, if you were going to spend money on He-Man toys, I wanted you to spend money on the Classics line. We didn't want to have too much offerings to split up that wallet. Fast forward to today, and there's a lot of options. Everything from Mondo to Funko, and Mattel in between, if they would actually show up and promote their product at conventions. More's the pity. So, yeah, having so many different offerings that are also in the same scale, yet another 6-inch scale that's not, as far as my info goes, officially licensed and approved, it's a lot of money and a lot of time to spend on something that you may not actually be able to go to market with. I mean, that Snake Mountain had to be resculpted at their cost because they bothered to sculpt it without getting approval first. Don't ever do that. Don't sculpt something without getting approval. It's a bad idea, and it's only going to backfire on you. Get a license first. Show illustrations to get the license, not sculpts. All right, that's my advice. Take it or leave it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please do share it with others. It's the best way to support this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.